What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out Mark Lee, my producer.
How are you doing? Look like you're looking lovely as always. I hope y'all having
Thank
some great
you.
weather because it was about 60 degrees. I did a walking tour with some sisters that were in town talking about everything from reparations to a number of other things, and we had a great and powerful conversation and all along those lines. So
Look
it was
dark.
an amazing conversation.
Oh yeah. The weather has been extremely crazy here. It is like super cold. This morning when I awoke, it was 37 degrees, and I was struggling because I wasn't expecting it to be so frigid and so cold when I left outside of the house this morning. But I made it through and got to work, and everything was okay. So, like I said, we have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. We have producer Mark Lee in the house, and we are going to be discussing politics, Beyonce, Facebook, Meta, Meghan Markle. We're gonna, try to keep it well rounded and discuss a lot of things
Oh yeah,
as we
well, like I
move forward through the show. So,
yeah, like I
Mark, you
said, that
ready to go
weather.
ahead and start it?
Yeah, let's get ready to start about all these different topics. Like I said, the weather has been lovely here, even though the rain did not help a relative of mine because he comes down because he's very active in the powwow culture. So he came down for the Saturday powwow, but Sunday it
Mhm.
got rained out, so he did not get to go to it on Sunday because the rain interfered with that particular event. But he still enjoys that part of his ancestry and all along those lines. So he actually came in and stayed with mom. So he actually visited with mom and was scratching at her house, and she had to wake up at 2 in the morning to let him into the house because he's out there getting his party on and all along those lines. So definitely, we were sitting there going like, "Wait a minute, you waking mom up at 2 a.m. in the morning because you got to get your party on?"
Oh, definitely. I've been there, done that. Normally, because I normally keep a key to my mom's house, but I don't know, with changing and going home and changing my keychains and things like that. I think I have lost the keys to my mom's house, and I prefer when they open the door anyway because it's kind of dark in Louisiana. It's like pitch black, and I don't like getting out of the car when it's like super dark alone by myself. So I always like for somebody to come to the door and open the door for me. So I think I got them all trained now, so they're already ready, and they already know the routine. If I go out and I come back at a certain time, they are waiting up for me. So that is definitely a plus. But I understand that having mom get up, and my mom, she does it. She doesn't mind when I come in, from hanging out with some of my friends or going to see different relatives and things like that or whatever. But so I get it. All right. So, how was your weekend? You
It
sound
was
like it
good.
was
Like I
pretty
said,
good.
it was busy. Like I said, I had that talk today, but on the weekend we actually had a group of folks that were here. You know, the Black Hebrew Israelites do their
Mhm.
Passover in April, so they did it. And I believe the gentleman told me in Snow Hill, which is a town here in North Carolina, but the closing activity was actually here at the center. So I think they had about 150 people up in this joint yesterday. I left and turned it over to my coworker and my boss and all in that space, and he closed them out. But they were having a talk and sharing some of their thoughts around religion and us being some of the original Jews and all in that space because that's what they're all about. And you know,
Mhm.
some of them used to be in Florida and in New York, so they had them from all over. I think they even had some coming in from London and Barbados. And then on uh, Friday, we have an event here. A lot of people have them called Third Friday, and we celebrate a lot of different artists. And the current exhibit is about the Divine Nine, so it is all
Mhm.
dedicated to those nine fraternities and sororities and all along those lines. And the young lady, Cameron Elsie, did a film that she talked to some of those people and they looked at the legacy, at the stereotypes. And, there's some
Mhm.
serious stereotypes, including that whole stereotype around Q dogs and all in that space. So she looked at that, and a lot of them were talking about the actual community service work that they do that doesn't get enough of the accolades as it probably deserves, and all in that space. And then that was going on Friday, and then Saturday we had our poetry slam team because they're going down to Pompano Beach, Florida, for the Southern Pride, and we picked a brand new team. And I think these are all brand new participants because I don't remember seeing a lot of these folks because sometimes you got veterans that are on the team, and I don't remember seeing nothing but new blood. So it's always good that you got new blood on a team as well. So we'll see how they do in that regional competition.
Oh, nice. Sounds interesting. Well, I wish them luck, and I hope they do extremely well in their competition, and bring home a win.
That's what we
So
want to do.
yes, I was actually in a play this
Oh,
weekend. It was the Sanford and Son stage play. So I did that on Sunday. We had 3 shows in Baltimore, and I was struggling because the first show started at 3, 5, 6. The next one started at like about 10. I was extremely just tired. I was just gone. So by the time I made it back home, I didn't do anything except just get in the bed. I was
that's
so
right.
tired, and I barely made it because I'm just like, oh my God, I haven't
What
worked
was
this
the
hard.
play about?
Sanford and Son, the show, Sanford and Son.
So y'all redid Sanford and Son because
We
Sanford and Son.
did. We did. So we did. And there was the scene with the Boom Boom Room. So
Uh-huh.
I was actually one of the dancers from the Boom Boom Room. I played accident prone Alice.
Okay.
So so these are characters I'm assuming the playwright made up or whatever. So I was in crutches and neck brace, and had this on. And originally we had on masks so nobody could see our faces. Then we came back out, we had the mask off, and then we did like a number on stage where we sang a song with them, and things like that or whatever. But it was extremely fun. It wasn't a major role, but I was just glad to be a part of it and invited to be a special.
Yeah.
We're talking about doing some other things. So you may hear me say that I'm going to be engaged in some more plays and things like that or whatever. But other than
Well,
that, my
no,
week.
maybe we'll get you to do some plays down here because I know last week a longtime friend of mine, Irvin Truitt, actually did a play rehearsal
Mhm,
here, and then they did the performance at the Arts Council. I unfortunately did not get a chance to go to it because of my own crazy busy schedule and all along those
mhm.
lines and everything. But definitely, who knows? Because we have a very active theater community here, so maybe we'll have you come down here and do some theater in our neck of the woods as well. There's a serious topic that I wanted to get to. Well, actually, there's two that I want to get to with you. One is very important to you, but before I get to that one that's important to you, because I know you got a bunch of things that you want to talk about, I just have to
Yes.
ask you, because Duke University recently ended the Reginaldo Howard Memorial Scholarship Program for top applicants of African descent in response to changes to the legal landscape related to race-based consideration in higher education. In other words, they just ended their scholarship program for Black students
I
and
can
all.
barely.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I just wondering what your thoughts about this are, because definitely it seems like it's not just Duke University, but a number of other programs that are trying to get rid of their race-based affirmative action, and Duke is now being the latest one to sunset their programs that was definitely giving our students a chance to go to these top schools, whether it's an Ivy League or whether it's a school that's private like Duke and everything. So I just wanted your take on that and everything, because it looks like other universities are doing similar kind of work where they are eliminating some of our scholarships that have helped our students get into universities for years.
Well, I mean, my take on that is, they're doing what they want to do in terms of, diversity, inclusion, and education and things like that or whatever. The target was to target Black females because we're the top leading group in terms of entrepreneurship, education, and other things or what surrounding education and things like that or whatever. Because when they brought the case to the Supreme Court and things like that or whatever, the original one of the original cases was targeting Black females. So, you know, they're trying to basically say that, you know, Black Americans are taken away from, you know, white people opportunities to get into these universities with affirmative action. But, you know, the biggest recipient of affirmative action were white women. And they were the ones that benefited the most from, you know, these policies and things like that or whatever. So when it comes to, you know, them removing programs that benefit, you know, people of color and Africans, Black Americans and things like that, I am not surprised, because we have totally turned the hands of time when it has come to, you know, like diversity and inclusion and things like that or whatever. They don't think that they're racist, but they're definitely racist. I mean, we could take Beyonce, for example, you know, with country music, you know, oh, she needs to stay in her lane. Why does she need to stay in her lane? Country music is her lane. Country music was started by Black people, and y'all hijacked it, and, you know, y'all took it over or whatever, you know. So you know, anything that comes from, you know, a PWI, and if you don't know what a PWI is, people out there in digital world, TV land, a PWI is a predominantly white institute. Nothing, you know, nothing surprises me and things like that or whatever. And that's why we have HBCUs, which is historically Black colleges and universities, so that our people can go to those, you know, colleges. But, you know, some are seeking, you know, the PWI, you know, accolades and, you know, things. Me when it comes to those people, because they have power to, you know, like hurt us and, you know, keep us down and move us to, you know, move us back to the back. And when Trump became president, a lot of this stuff came to fruition, and a lot of racists came out of the woodwork, you know, with their racism and, you know, their racist antics and policies and, you know, things like that. We've already known that it has always been racist, and it's going to always be racist, you know. And a lot of people, they get angry with me when I say, you know, all white people are racist, and they're like, I didn't say this. Jane Elliott, who has conducted research, she's a white woman, and she said this. She said that all white people are racist. So if I'm lying behind her. So, I mean, no matter how good you think you are of a person, when you get angry, your true colors come out. Your true colors shows when you're upset and things like that. Because I've been in different forums, different platforms with you know, white people and things like that, and this is a response that they say, oh, I have done so much for your people and I have done this. No, you personally have not done anything. You're just in a position where that position requires you to do what you're supposed to do, to adhere to what the guidelines are within in those programs. You personally have not done anything. You work for a company or you work for a nonprofit where those are the parameters around the position that you hold. So a lot of them oftentimes get confused with, you know, the job and their personal notions and things like that. I remember I watched ladies was doing a TikTok, and she's a therapist, and she's like, you know, there was a white woman who's married to a Black guy, and she basically made some race. I help your people all the time, and I do this and I do that. No, you're personally not doing this. Your job is to do what you're supposed to do in your job. So they don't understand what their roles are as in terms of the job. So again, like I said, when it comes to, you know, like those programs and things like that, I don't play stock in it, because they want to tuck in Black, and they want to, you know, cherry pick as to who can receive and who can do this and who can do that, because they're gatekeeping. They already know if they open the floodgates, we're going to take over. The same thing with Beyonce. You're trying to gatekeep country music, and we can see that you're trying to gatekeep. Oh, she needs to stay in her lane. She needs to do this. Why can't she sing country music? Y'all allow people from out of the country, from Canada, Australia, to come in here and sing country music. When did Canada become country? When did Australia become country? Well, some parts of Australia is country, but when did it become country? You know, Beyonce grew up in Louisiana. She than that, you know, and people don't understand what we are dressed in cowboy boots. We have cowboy hats. We have blue jeans on. We have Daisy Dukes on. That's part of our culture. That's part of, you know, Zydeco. That's part of the country Black, and you know, things like that. She sang at rodeos. So I mean, it, you know, nothing surprises me with these people. It's just, you know, just turning of the page. What are you going to pull today? What are you going to do today? You know what I'm saying? So when you look at diversity and inclusion, they don't want to diversify. They want to keep everything the same. That's why that slogan, "Make America Great Again," hit home with a lot of them, because they don't want us in the position where we are now, because they feel like we are beneath them. We don't deserve what we deserve. We are basically getting a free ride, although we studied and we had to take tests and we had to prove ourselves and prove
Got
our
to
worth.
prove ourselves
That
on a regular basis
you
and
know
everything.
so yeah, so when they're 50% proficient, we have to be 200% proficient, just to be able to walk into space and just to be able to compete and things like that or whatever. I use myself all the time with my students, and I let them know, although I have all these degrees and certifications, and I'm highly qualified, highly intelligent, they would give it to a white person before they move me up, and they would give it to me, because they feel like that white person is more qualified and more adept in the role and the position, and not knowing that I am the better person, or another black person is the better person, but they don't want to elevate us and move us into those positions. But again, nothing surprises me,
No, you
nothing at
shouldn't be
all.
surprised. You shouldn't be surprised. And one of the things I know was going on, even with some of our universities, is that some of them are in dire straits. I know that over in Raleigh, which is the state capital here in North Carolina, St. Aug has now got all of their students going to remote learning. They actually did that, and we're asking the students to move out by April 3rd. So they've been gone now for about almost 3 weeks, and all along those lines. So it's not quite 3 weeks, but about 2.5, almost 3 weeks and everything. And definitely some of the churches have been stepping up to feed the students, as there are still some students that were trying to get adjusted and trying to figure out how they can do the remote learning. So for the last 3 weeks, some local volunteers have been keeping the students fed after the shift to remote learning earlier this week. So the university calls the students to pack up and move out by April 3rd as they went remote for the rest of the year. There are those who couldn't leave campus because of various activities, according to Pastor Charles Brooks, and he was trying to find out ways that they could help those folks until they can get to wherever their destination is. So they were providing nutritious meals for the remainder of the school year. But that is a college that is having all kinds of financial problems and is trying to, matter of fact, they lost some of their accreditation and are trying to find ways to maintain their rich history, because they do have a rich history at that particular university and all along those lines. One of the things you said, Dr. Anthony, that I think you'll find fascinating, I'd love to hear your thoughts around this, is I was talking on my own show earlier today with a lady that's in the investment space, a white lady and everything, but she's part of the LGBT community. And I actually laughed, and she might have even laughed during the interview, because she was thinking that the trans population, and I know we've talked about how sometimes the LGBT and other communities have hijacked our movement, but she was feeling that the trans community actually hijacked the LGBT movement and all along those lines. So she was upset with the trans part of LGBTQIA, because she feels that they have taken away some of the initial gains and some of the issues that she was passionate about, and all along those lines, when it was the original LGBT community before we added some of the other alphabets as well. But I had, as I said on my show, I remembered that conversation even with our civil rights, where sometimes we felt that other organizations were hijacking us for their causes and all along this line. So the fact that she was making that same argument, I was going like, I've heard this argument before, but I heard it from our civil rights leaders and all along those lines. So I found it kind of ironic that they were using the same argument that we've had for decades.
Because we wrote the playbook.
Right.
I mean, it's simple. We wrote the playbook, and I said this all the time. They have hijacked our movement and things like that. So I really don't. I have no sympathy for her in terms of what she is saying, because even within the LGBT community, there are more racist, heterosexual people and things like that or whatever. So transgender blacks and gay blacks receive a lot of hate and racism, just from the organization or whatever. So what she feels has been hijacked. I have no sympathy for her, and that in that realm or whatever, because y'all hijacked our movement. We wrote the playbook, y'all hijacked it, you're benefiting from it, and we're still fighting for certain rights and certain liberties and things like that or whatever. So my thing is, baby, you can kick rocks. Whatever the trans community got going on, the trans community got going on, embrace it, deal with it, move forward and things like that, because all of you guys are under one umbrella, and that's just
Yeah.
the bottom line.
Speaking of umbrella, there's a lot of people because there were some great African American basketball players in the WNBA that were not getting the compensation that they deserved and everything. And now that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are bringing the conversation to the forefront, they are now looking at the WNBA and thinking that there needs to be greater compensation. Of course, they're talking about the NIL deals as well. But I'm going like, weren't some of our early pioneers like Cheryl Miller and Miss Swoops and a number of others undercompensated as well? So hasn't this been an issue in the sports for a while? They act like it's a new issue because they've got the great white hope in Caitlin Clark, and there have been some other great white hopes as well. But I just wanted your take, because there's been a lot of conversation, including on social media, about the fact that they are feeling that the women of the WNBA are underpaid and all in that space.
Well, the women have definitely been underpaid, and we already know that, it's going to be that for some time. Maybe we have the power to change it or whatever, but, I don't think that they were bringing Angel Reese into the conversation when it comes to, the low pay. They were good with her receiving what she was receiving, but they had a problem with Caitlin Clark receiving what she was receiving, so now and the draft and things like that, they have a problem with her receiving the low salary that she's receiving. But my thing is, all the women prior to her and even now are still receiving those low salaries. But at the same time, their games don't generate the revenue that the men games generate. So one of the things that I wanted to do was campaign around Angel Reese, and we start buying her jerseys, her white jersey and her dark jersey, so that we can support her. And so I'm hoping that she gets a kickback off of, her actual jersey in Chicago and things like that. And then I know that with them coming to play the Mystics, they moved their game from their actual facility over to the big facility where the Wizards play and things like that, because the ticket sales have significantly increased. But my thing is, you're still making millions of dollars, so you have the means to pay these women what they're worth. But again, a lot of the traffic and the rhetoric surrounding the salaries wasn't brought up until this white girl came out there and they saw that she's making less than, $80,000 a year, and they have a problem with it. So now they want to do something about it. But when Cheryl Miller, Cheryl Swoops, and, all the rest of them were, over there doing what they were doing, they didn't have a problem. They didn't have a problem when Brittany Miller was going over to Russia, trying to earn that $1 million so that she has money to take care of her family and things like that or whatever. So it wasn't an issue then. And now all of a sudden, since this little white girl that y'all deemed the GOAT, the great white hope, since she went number one in the NBA, it's a problem. So they're going to look into the salary now because, like I said, their great white hope is not receiving what they thought she should receive. So guess what? Change is going to come. And like I tell people all the time, change really doesn't happen until it affects one of them. When it starts affecting one of them, then change will take place. So since it's affecting her, all the other women will benefit. And then, my thing with Caitlin is I'm not taking anything her skill. She's a good player. She's a great shooter. But, when they put in South Carolina, put that defense on her and guarded her, tight, that shut her down. So as long as she's open and, she's out there by herself, yes, she's going to drop threes, and like I said, and like the other women said, you're playing against women now. You're not playing against little girls, so you have to step your game up and you have to move forward. But again, like I said, she is going to be the voice of reason when it comes to the WNBA and changing that salary scale. She's going to be, get that done.
Yeah. One of the things that is a big event that goes on, and I know a friend of mine did a film about the one in South Carolina, that being at Myrtle Beach, but definitely there are some in Georgia as well. And there have been a lot of people that were wondering about some of these Black Beach celebrations that go on and all in that spaces. And I understand that this past weekend that there was efforts to disrupt the spring bash that takes on at Tybee Island, Georgia. So they were expecting thousands of folks to descend on that island, just like they expect a lot of people to be at Myrtle Beach and during that particular week and all along those lines. But now they've got these extra police officers and barricades, and because people are now complaining about what was going on. I never attended it, but I have friends that have attended the bike week in Myrtle Beach, and I definitely even remember back in the day folks that attended Freaknik and all along those lines. But it looks like they are trying to disencourage some of that stuff because Mayor Brian West, who was elected last fall by the residents, said that roadblocks and added police aren't just for limiting crowds. He hopes the crackdown will drive Orange Crush away for good. So that's actually what it's called, is Orange Crush and all in that space. But I'm thinking that that's a lot of money that they could be losing and all in that space because that
but
is
they don't care. That's the thing. They don't care. As long as it's a Black event, they don't care about losing the money. We can use Mardi Gras, for example. We had restaurants shut down during Mardi Gras because they didn't want to service Black people. You know what I'm saying? So it's about color, and people keep saying it's not about black and white, but it's clearly about black and white. And I keep reverting back to Beyonce because it's clearly a black and white issue. You didn't have a problem with nobody else crossing over into country, but when Beyonce does it, it's a problem. Everybody else do it, y'all okay with it. But when she does it, it's a problem. So you clearly have a problem with this Black woman and what she's bringing to the table and what she's doing. Oh, she's not country. She doesn't sound country. She doesn't do this. Sweetheart, she's very country. Country music was Black music. Country music was folk music. And we had it first. Y'all just stole it and, took it up on yourselves to, take it or whatever. But my thing is, to Beyonce, continue to do what you're doing, sweetheart. Continue to break those lines. Continue to, move forward and things like that. And if they don't want us in those spaces, we create our own spaces. If they don't want you at their country music festival, we create our own country music festivals for, Black country fans and things like that or whatever. Because I always say, I don't want to be in your space anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because I can live without you.
So a friend of mine actually did that. She has a group, and it's a group that is called Color Me Country, and that is Reese Palmer, and she actually has the Color Me Country podcast, her and some of the other folks that are in that space and all along those lines. But definitely that is a thing that more and more people need to be doing, because she does talk about the fact of the importance of our history to country music and, like you said, folk music. And actually Beyonce's one of the singers is Rihanna Giddens, and Rihanna Giddens is from here and part of the Carolina Chocolate Drops and everything. And she's actually the one that plays the banjo on it, that particular song that you are talking about, and all in that space. And she's very much in that history space, and oftentimes talks about that on a regular basis. So yeah, we are kind of getting our groove going and getting some of our spaces talked about as well. But one of the things that one of the gentlemen said, and all along that line, is that, to your point, he says our weekends are packed with people all season, but when Orange Crush comes, they shut down the park and bring extra police, and act like they have to take charge, according to Julia Pierce, one of the island's few African-American residents and leaders of a group called the Tybee MLK Human Rights Organization. She added they believe Black folks to be criminals and all in that space. So she is definitely saying that they're trying to play to that stereotype that you were alluding to.
Oh no, they're not trying to play to it. They're doing it because they don't, they want our money, but they don't want us to gather. They don't want us to congregate. It's still like those Black codes, from way back in the day. 3 Black people can't, be walking together. 3 Black people can't do this, or you're considered a gang. You can't be out along those lines in terms of what we are so-called allowed to do and things like that. So like I said, when it comes to us, they want our money, but they don't want anything else from us. They want us to be told as if we're still that chattel property and things like that or whatever. So it doesn't surprise me that they have extra security and extra police and things like that or whatever, because one of the things that has made Donald Trump so successful is that he says that he's a person of law and order, and we already know the underlying tones and the underlying meaning of law and order, meaning you're going to police Black people. You're going to allow these white folks to continue to kill us and, shoot us down in the streets and things like that. And nothing is going to be done about it. So that's basically what that means in that stuff. So again, it doesn't surprise me that they're taking these antics and they're taking this stance and things like that, whatever. But like I said on a different podcast, y'all got the right ones, because I'm not going to sit back and take it lightly and things like that or whatever. I'm going to speak my piece. I'm going to say what I need to say, and that's just the bottom line. And with speaking my piece and saying what I need to say or whatever, over the weekend I was on Facebook. And so somebody had mentioned Beyonce, and they mentioned politics, and they were like, with the politics or whatever, with the cheating and the stealing of the election, basically alluding to President Biden stealing the election, that more provisions need to be put in place. And I made the comment saying, yeah, the cheating and the Republicans are notorious for cheating, lying, stealing, and doing all those things. And so the white guy who comment that I made, he goes, yeah, but you don't have real hair, and you look like a man. So me being me, I put on Facebook, although he was trying to bully me, my hair is not real and I look like a man or whatever. So I put on Facebook that his mammy was a whore and he was the product of a pimp, because they ran a train on her ass and he don't even know who his damn daddy is. So they want to tell me that I was bullying him because I said what I said, but you didn't say anything to him because he called me a man and he basically talked about my hair. So, my thing is, like, even with these algorithms or whatever, they're still trying to police Black people and Black voices. But, white people can say whatever the hell they want to say and things like that or whatever. And I told him he was a secret pedophile. He secretly, watched children. He watched porn and things like that. Because 9 times out of 10, that's what they do, in these backwoods and, backwoods spaces and countries and things like that. But my thing is, don't talk shit if if you can't take it and if you can't handle it or whatever. And even with Facebook and Meta, don't allow them to be able to say what they want to say. But then when I come back and I come full force and I talk about his white ass mammy, son of a pimp or whatever, then you want to say that that I'm bullying him. Nah, I ain't bullying him. I'm just meeting him. I'm just matching his energy, and I'm just giving him what he deserves. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it is what it is. They want to throw the rock and hide the hand and, play victim and, things like that. My thing is, don't play victim with me, because I'm going to let you know where you where you can go and how fast that you can get there and things like that or whatever.
Yeah, and even that, even if you think about the way, and I'm going to mention somebody that just recently passed away, but I do remember back at the time of the verdict, there were a number of people that were in our community. In fact, I understand there were celebration parties in California and other places, because even back in 1994, 22% of the African American respondents in a Washington Post ABC News poll said that they thought Simpson was guilty of the charges, whereas 63% of the white population thought that. As the time went on, particularly after Simpson was found liable in the 1997 civil case brought by Brown and Goldman families, then it went to 57% of African Americans in 2015 said they thought he was guilty, and 83% of white people agreed. So it definitely they always thought that he was more guilty, because we were definitely more forgiven of the possibility that he might have.
But again, those things can be, those posts can be skewed, because it depends on who you're asking and where you're asking, where you're seeking information, because they only poll about 1,000 people, you know what I'm saying? And so they use 1,000 people to generalize the population and things like that. So it depends on what area of the country they polled, who was, responding to the questionnaire. Because my thing is, I honestly don't believe that he did it. I honestly believe that he's innocent and things like that. And he was in a court of law that he was proven innocent and guilty, innocent and not guilty, so that's what they have to go by. So as far as, like the book is concerned and things like that, I'm not supporting no book. I'm not giving Ron Goldman and family a jack bit of nothing. That poor white trash can continue to be poor white trash, because I'm not supporting it and things like that. I'm not supporting nothing that they have going on, not anything. So again, like I said, I have spoken, I have said what I said. I don't think things like that, and I think that the white people played him, and they caused him to go back to jail and things like that or whatever. They purposely set him up because they wanted him to be incarcerated after they could not incarcerate him for the murder of Nicole and Ron Goldman and things like that or whatever, which I still believe that he's innocent and things like that.
No, there were some people that earlier that today came out. There's a report that he might have been involved, but maybe he hired mafia people to do it. And now there's even reports that, ironically, there's that rich family and that celebrity, but there are some people that are saying that he is actually the real dad of Khloe Kardashian, even though most people discount that rumor and everything. But that rumor has been circulating there for a while and all along those lines. But definitely that's one that puts out there that people sometimes believe on social media and some people don't believe it, and all along those lines. You mentioned Beyonce and those Western boots. You'll be glad to know that the Western boot sales have jumped after Beyonce dropped Cowboy Carter and all in that space. So definitely looks like people are going out to get those boots. And there are also people that are grabbing their cowboy hats because apparently there are a lot of cowboy themed listening parties that are going on as well as that new release has been coming out, and people are definitely getting in that space and all along those lines. There was another
But the thing
scary.
about it is, we've always worn cowboy boots. I have my cowboy boots downstairs and things like that. And we used to wear boots that they call ropers, back in the day. And some people still wear those, or I had two pair of ropers. I had a blue pair and I had a red pair and things. This is nothing new for us, being from the South and things like that. We've always worn cowboy hats. We've always worn boots. We've always worn the blue jeans and things like that. It's the other people that are now, jumping on the bandwagon or whatever. So, even with the uptick of the cowboy boots, there's also the uptick of Levi jeans,
Mhm.
and anybody that's from the South, they know that we wore Levi jeans and our cowboy boots and, things like that or whatever. So that's not anything new for us. It's just playing it right into the culture because we body code, we have trail rides, and we do all that stuff. And this is things that we have always done and will continue to do, and
Oh no,
things like
there.
that or whatever.
Yeah, we do
So
trail rides, and there are definitely some very popular groups. There's even a couple of trail riding organizations here in the area, and they've definitely even done some stuff at Hayti and other places. But definitely that
mhm.
trail riding is very popular. One of the other things that I was curious about, and I definitely want to get to that as well, but there have been a number of health concerns and all in that space, and apparently there was a biased test that kept thousands of black people from getting kidney transplants. So that's something else they've been talking about in the news. So a new mandate is now
Yeah, I
prioritizing
read it.
black kidney transplant candidates after researchers and doctors realized a race-based test had been misevaluating the patients in our community for decades. So I know that you probably read about that, and I just want to know your thoughts because definitely we know a lot of people in our community need various transplants, whether that's kidneys or whether that's heart or a number of other things. But sometimes there is bias in that field and has been for decades, if not
But
centuries.
my thing is, you act like this, not you per se, but you act like this is a surprising thing or whatever. We're not surprised when things come out like that. We already know that they put white people on the top of the list to receive those organs and stuff like that or whatever. We already know that black people are forced to the bottom of the list. Not saying that it's right or whatever, but we already know this stuff. And within the black community, that's why a lot of black people don't donate their organs and things like that. Because my son was like, he wants to be an organ donor. I was like, no, take that off your license. I was like, take it off. If you do an organ donor, you volunteer with somebody that you know, and you give that particular person your organ, because they're not going to give it to a black person per se. They're going to give it to somebody else because they put them higher on the list and things like that. And I've been saying this for years, and the test has just come out to support and substantiate all my claims and everything that I've been saying. But it was, people act like it was an accident. It wasn't an accident. This was done purposely, and we already know, even with the syphilis, with the syphilis test that was done on black people, and all other tests, the radiation test that was done on the young man who they messed up his skull and burned his scalp, and things like that. All of that stuff was done purposely, and the government has played a direct role and a direct hand in doing those medical experiments on blacks and other people in the communities and different communities and things like that. So this is not surprising. We as black women are still fighting just to get corrective OBGYN care and things like that. I remember I had an incident. I go to Howard University as my for my OBGYN or whatever. So my doctor ended up leaving and going to Baltimore. And so there was this white guy that came in and stuff like that or whatever. So I'm going back and forth with him, telling him you know, uh, what I've been diagnosed with, and things like that in terms of PCOS, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome, and stuff like that. And he wants to tell me something different. So we're indifferent, but you're not about to tell me about my body and what I'm going through and what I already know to be accurate and a fact or whatever. So I had to switch to a Black doctor. So it's just just understanding your needs and things like that or whatever. And I'm not saying that there are not good white doctors out there, because I'm quite sure they are, but Black doctors understand Black issues, and that's what I want. I want a doctor who understands me, who understands my Black issues, who understands my Black body, and who explaining and what I'm, talking about and things like that. I want somebody who's going to be my ride or die when it comes to me going to that, to that facility and, doing what I have to, get done. Because I've always had a Black OBGYN. I had an older guy when I first started, and then he ended up retiring and things like that or whatever. Because PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndromes, causes you to have all kinds of symptoms. It's like you're menopausal and things like that. And if you don't understand how that works and how that affects the person and what the person is dealing with, then you're going to misdiagnose and things like that or whatever. So I've had my little spat and things of that nature with somebody not understanding me as a Black woman, because they feel like we just oblivious to pain and we can just take it. So they don't take our, concerns, serious. So, like I said, I always want a Black doctor, because Black doctor understands Black issues and they understand my Black problems.
Speaking of Black issues and everything, I did have a video that I wanted to let you hear and all of that, but this is a year ago that a gentleman, a brother, and all in that space was shot, and it was apparently because he went to the wrong door and all along those lines. So definitely he is coupled with this, and this is the first time that he spoke recently about that whole thing and how his family is coping with it as well, because literally he went to the wrong door. So I'll play this and then hear your thoughts around what he went through as well.
We are in a sea of strangers right now who are united by this moment. What does it make you feel inside to see this?
Just this really quick.
I am so happy you guys got to experience this.
1 year ago, Ralph Yarl was just 16 years old. He loved nature walks with family, jumping on trampolines, and playing in his high school band. That was Ralph before April 13th, 2023. This is Ralph now.
I'm trying to keep like a sort of sense of normalcy so that I can continue being the person that I am and that I used to be.
Forever changed when he rang the doorbell of the wrong home while trying to pick up his twin brothers. And 85-year-old Andrew Lester shot him twice in the head and arm. Ralph's survival deemed a miracle.
Would you say it's been harder to physically recover or mentally recover?
Definitely mentally, but it's a constant uphill battle.
Ralph suffered splitting headaches. Always an A student, he now struggles to study. In the last few months, he crashed his car twice. His mother and aunt say sometimes he can't sleep. Other times, he sleeps too much.
When you have trauma, initially there's the shock of all of it. But then when everything starts to simmer, and then you start to realize how life is not what it used to be.
Ralph and his friends are struggling to process 3 shootings in their hometown over the last year. Ralph's a classmate's killing and the Kansas City Chiefs parade shooting.
It's like a constant nagging of watch your surroundings.
Going to houses and stuff, I'm like, this is the right address. I can't get this wrong.
In October, Andrew Lester, who has pled not guilty and told police he was scared to death, will stand trial for Ralph's shooting.
Mr. Lester is currently comfortable, enjoying his old age.
Ralph hasn't even considered forgiving the man, who in an instant brought his childhood to an end.
Has he ever asked for your forgiveness?
The family speaking out to remind the country, we can't forget. We can't become desensitized.
We are tired of people saying that you're in my thoughts and prayers. We need to get out of your thoughts and your prayers and get into your actions.
If not for their sake, they say, for the next child harmed by gun violence in America. Antonia Hilton, NBC News, Kansas City.
Just really quickly before you answer to that and everything, my dad actually did a art exhibit that was nameless there. That is called Thoughts and Prayers because my dad, who is a local artist, believes that too often we give thoughts and prayers and don't have action behind the thoughts and prayers. So not knocking the religious need for thoughts and prayers, but sometimes they need actions behind the actions as well. So he actually did some people would call it a rebel piece because he put it up in places that weren't always given permission to. And all
No, of course. No, of course. I mean, that it was a sad situation, but when we walk out of our front doors or whatever, we have to look over our shoulders. We don't get the same luxuries and the liberties as, white people and white children, white women and things like that, whatever. We're gunned down for the simplest things, for raising our hand, for holding a cell phone, for sitting in our car, for driving down the street in a traffic stop or whatever. These are things that they will never have to experience and never have to, endure and go through and things like that. And for him to say that he was scared to death because somebody knocked on his door, that was a damn lie. You wanted to shoot that boy because you saw that was a black boy and you saw that was a black person at the door, and you thought that you were going to get away with it and things like that. I mean, I've had conversations with colleagues and friends and things like that, and telling them that all these white officers are out there, they want to kill black people, and that's the bottom line. That's their agenda. And they was like, no, you're wrong. No, I'm not wrong. If you look at the record and the history, there's a pattern of behavior. All of them want to shoot a black person. All of them want to kill somebody. Let's take Amber Geiger, for example, when she went to Botham Jean's door and she shot that man in cold blood, talking about she was at the wrong, she thought she was going to her apartment. It ain't no way that you thought that you were going to your apartment. You know where your apartment is. You know where you live and things like that or whatever. So you wanted to shoot him. You wanted to, kill this person and things like that or whatever. And, I fought the family for not receiving, although she went to jail, you over there talking about you forgive this woman. Forgive her for what? She ain't gonna forgive your black ass if the tables were turned.
No, not at all. They're not gonna.
That's why your family, and that's right, and that's why your family has gone uncompensated, because you're like, she shouldn't have gone to jail. She shouldn't. No, she killed your son. She killed your brother in cold blood. Yes, her ass needs to rot in jail. She needs to stay there and things like that. And so, if the law was, upholding the law and holding them accountable, it would deter a lot of, shooting black people, unarmed black people, unarmed, black women and things like that, with Sandra Bland being shot and hanged or whatever, how she died in the jail cell and things like that. So no, they all want to kill a black person, and that's just within their nature. And that's just what's happening, because they know that society is going to support them. Because when you look at the shootings historically, what has happened? Y'all white folks have rallied behind them. Y'all donated money. Y'all supported them. Y'all have done all this thing. Y'all made them instant millionaires. So we already know where your thought processes are. You don't give a damn about, black people being gunned down in the street, because your response is, oh, if you would have just done this, then that wouldn't have happened. Or if you would have just done that, that wouldn't happen. Oh, if you would have just complied, that wouldn't have happened. People have complied. People have done this and people have done that, and they're still gunned down in the street. So you can't tell me that these people are not out there being vigilantes and, taking the law into their own hand. But we already know, there's a law for the super rich. There's a law for, other people, and then there's a law for the other people. So we already know, because, if the law were, the law was the law of the land, then we all would be, judged accordingly. And we're not judged accordingly according to the law of the land. Look at Trump. He ran for president and still won,
Still won, and now he's facing his own courts. But before I get to his trial and everything, there is a very significant case that is about to take place, and it's actually involving the Supreme Court, because we know that both in DC as well as here in North Carolina and a number of other places, there are homeless encampments and anti-camping ordinances in some of these cities and everything. So there was a district court ruling, I believe it was in Oregon, if I'm remembering correctly, and now it'll be decided by the Supreme Court. So they're going to be looking at what's going to be going on in that space and how much rights the folks that are homeless will have. And a lot of times they are in encampments, and sometimes the cities are shutting down the encampments. But this is a major case that will impact a number of our homeless and all in that space. So I don't know if you got any thoughts, because I do know that there are DC encampments, just like there are encampments in Maryland and in various other states and cities around the country and everything. But it looks like they're going to try to find a way to curtail some of that.
I mean, the thing about it is, they're trying to criminalize just even walking outside breathing. You know what I'm saying? So they have to keep this prison population going. So, they criminalize you camping. That's your new prison population. And people got to be wary, and they got to understand that the prison system is a business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. And so, they need new bodies. They need fresh bodies. They need all of these people to support these prisons. And when the prisons are empty, these people don't make no money. So they want to criminalize just about the darndest thing, so that people can be incarcerated and go to jail for extended periods of time, and live their life out in prison to make up that deficit of people that's actually not there, and innocent people. You have innocent people who spent 10-20 years behind bars, because for what? You know what I'm saying? But people got to be smart, and they got to understand the whole play that's being played at this point. You know what I'm saying? They are trying to fill those beds. The prison doesn't make money until those beds are filled. So I just feel like the homeless people for the prison system, and new target for different cities and things like that. Because my thing is, what are these people doing? They're sleeping outside. What are they doing? Who are they bothering? You have a problem with the people sleeping outside, but you don't have a problem with your folks going camping and sleeping in the woods and things like that or whatever. But that's okay when you do it, but it's a problem when they do it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's just some heartless people out there and things like that or whatever. My thing is, if these people are not bothering anybody, they're not bothering you, why are you messing with them? But like I said, it's about supplying. It's about supply and demand. They need the supply of prisoners because there is a demand for them to make the prison to make money and things like that or whatever. So
well, speaking of that supply and demand, we talked about it earlier, and I said we'd get to that. I definitely want to get to a very important accolade for you as well and everything before in the next 9 minutes. But before we get to that, there's a trial that is going on there in New York. They've picked a jury, and apparently they've made their opening arguments and all along this line. So I understand that the gentleman who is being tried, that being the former president and everything, has been farting up a storm. So apparently he doesn't know how to handle his gas and all along those lines. But I was just wondering your take on this trial about this gentleman that has definitely not done a lot for the African American community, even though to hear him speak about it, and even some of his disciples, he's done a lot for the HBCUs and a number of others, even though we know that is not actually the case. But there is very strong rumors going on that he's going to pick Tim Scott to be his vice president. So I just wanted your take on Mr. Trump and his appeal to the African American community.
There is no appeal to the African American community. You have the handful of African Americans, blacks or whatever, who wants to be in the likes of Trump and things like that or whatever. They want to be accepted, but they have to understand the difference between being accepted and tolerated. And Trump would never accept them, never want them in his space and things like that or whatever. So it's for me with them, you running around here talking about Trump did this, Trump did that. Trump didn't do anything. He had nepotism. He padded his pockets. He sold American secrets. He sold weaponry to people that shouldn't have had weaponry and things like that. And he made sidebar deals, which is clear that Jared Kushner did all these things. They sold the access to the White House, and these white folks don't have a problem with it. But when it comes back to haunt him, then it's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't really care about things until they start affecting themselves. And as far as his body odor is concerned or whatever, my thing is y'all letting them walk around like that. You know what I'm saying? So deal with it. It is what it is. We take baths, but y'all white folks say that y'all don't need baths, and this is and up. So I don't know if you take a bath or not. Then he has, he's farting in the courtroom that they said, and he's extremely smelly. He doesn't eat right. He eats junk food all the time, cheeseburgers, fried chicken, things that are not healthy. So quite naturally, his gas is going to be just as foul as he is, because that's what he's ingesting into his body. He's not putting no green. So it is what it is. But Tim Scott, You know, he can do whatever the hell he want to do with Tim Scott. We're not supporting Tim Scott. You know, we're not supporting Trump. Tim Scott is a shuck and jive, step and fetch, or whatever kind of, kind of black man, and things like that or whatever. And he wants to say that America is not racist. Tim, I've talked about you, on multiple shows and things like that. You're not even worthy of the conversation, because you would sell your soul, and what you have done, sold your soul, just to be trying to be accepted and be tolerated into these white folks and stuff like that. And when they get behind your ass in closed doors, they laughing at you, calling you all kind of niggas and all in this, but you are too dumb to damn see or whatever what the playing field is. But my thing is, whatever happens to you, whatever makes your boat float, that's what makes your boat float. But again, we are not supporting Trump. There's no way, but there are people out there talking about we were better under Trump. We weren't better under Trump. Trump raised our taxes, and the tax liens that we have now, they won't expire until 2025 and things like that. The people had less money when it came to their earned income tax credit. Trump, gave major tax breaks to the rich, and he's already talking about what tax breaks he's going to give to the rich so that, everybody else can pay, and the little people don't understand is when he gives those major tax breaks to the rich, somebody has to pay those taxes, and it's them that are paying the taxes. When he gave out that first stimulus check, it wasn't a stimulus check. It was a loan, because when they got their taxes, they snatched the money right back. When President Biden came into office, he gave out the stimulus checks, and the people were allowed to keep the stimulus checks. That was Democrats doing. That was not Republicans. And a lot of people are, they have this misconception about, what Democrats had done and what Republicans had done. Republicans didn't do anything. Republicans basically, put you in a position where you were not benefiting. And the only people that were benefiting were the millionaires, billionaires, and, things like that, trillionaires. Those are the only people that were benefiting from those tax breaks and things. Nobody else was benefiting. So, my thing is, when I hear black people talking about, they're voting for Trump. Trump don't even like black people. He tolerated black people. He has been, charges have been brought against him since the 1970s when he didn't want black people staying in his building, but y'all still want to shuck and jive and step and fetch, talking about you as Trump supporter and things like that, whatever. Even like with Chrisette Michele, when we told her ass not to sing at that inauguration. I thought I was bringing the country together. Baby, how are you bringing the country together? The white folks don't even know who you are. Then she got on TV talking about she never met Trump. And did you honestly think that you were going to meet Trump? We told you not to go and sing at that inauguration, but you took it upon yourself and you took the little $250,000 and you went and sang your ass and you stepped and fetched and you shuck and jive. So we hope the little $250,000 was worth it, because I still don't listen to her music. I still don't support her. I still don't do any of that stuff, because once again, everybody contacted her. Jermaine Dupri, other artists contacted her and told her not to take her ass to that damn White House and not to sing.
Yep, they definitely told her to do that and all of those lines. And now we give all this money to the fine folks in Ukraine, Israel, and the Indonesian area and all in that space. That money that could be used for the homeless and a number of other causes, because we got our own issues that need to be fixed with some of this money. But we found some where the money that's existing within this deficit to go spend it on those countries. And I'm not saying that those countries don't need independence from those tyrants and everything, but we didn't need to send them this $1 billion of equipment. And there are some people that are like, but this will make great money in terms of manufacturing and all along those lines. But I know that the
my thing is, like, don't send my black dollars over there, because these people are racist towards us. When they come here, they take upon that same role as the white folks and things like that or whatever, so don't send my black dollars over there. And I tell people all the time, I don't want my black tax dollars going nowhere that I'm not welcome. Even with Ukraine, when they were over there discriminating against the Africans and things like that, do not send my black dollars over there. Send the white folks money. Don't send mine, because I don't want my black tax dollars supporting anything that these people got going on. And that's just the bottom line, because y'all want to be racist and y'all want us to treat us any kind of way, but we can't say anything, we can't protest, we can't do anything, we can't give no pushback, but we just supposed to sit here and take it and just allow you to have our money. Nah, don't send my black dollars, you know what I'm saying? Because I let them know I don't want my black dollars going nowhere near anything that they got going on, because again, like I said, they're extremely racist when it comes to us. We still can't go to certain countries. We still can't go to certain towns in the United States. sundown towns. It's 2024 and Black people are still not allowed in, certain areas and things like that. So you want me to be on board and you want me to support what you got going on and you want my money, but, and you're going to put me at bay? Nah, y'all can keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Keep it moving.
Before the clock on the wall hits that mark and it's already there and we get on out of here, I know that, like I said earlier, I gave a contribution and other people need to do it as well because you are trying to be one of America's favorite teachers and all along those lines. So we've got you up. Last time I looked at 3rd place. So if you would tell folks how they can reach you, because I'm going to try to make another donation and try to see if we can get you up to 2nd place and maybe even to that prize that you richly deserve and all along those lines. So as before we get on out of here, so you can tell folks in a minute or two how they can get in touch with you and we can get you on up to that number 1 spot.
So everybody can vote. You can vote daily. You can also make donations, but there is 1 free vote per day. So I would like for you guys to vote daily. You can go to my Facebook page. You can also, I'm quite sure you can go to Mark's Facebook page and click the link there to, submit your vote. I can't vote for myself because they won't let me do it. But, you guys out there in, digital world, TV world, if you feel kind enough to, make a donation on my behalf and, or you just want to do the free vote, I will greatly appreciate it because we're trying to get to that number 1 spot. So I can move into the final stages and, compete for the top prize, which is a trip to Hawaii and $25,000. So if you haven't checked out my Facebook page, please go ahead and check out my Facebook page, check Mark's and, look for the link so you guys can support. But, the time is, it's that time and the clock on the wall says that's all, so I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in with us for another great show. Make sure you click like and share. We're broadcasted in over 30 countries and over 30 different languages, but, we still need local support as well. So make sure you guys click like and share and, get us out there. And Mark, that's it. Clock on the wall says that's all, y'all.
On that note, we're going to get out of here. Talk to you later.
What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.